All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Cofence's Cybersecurity Awareness Month webinar. This is week 4, as you can see on the screen, Cybersecurity First. This is the last in the series for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. A very exciting program we have today. One bit of housekeeping, as you can see on your screen, depending on how you have it configured, there is a Q&A button somewhere. Please use that as you think of questions that you'd like answered, or if there's anything, even comments or what have you, feel free to use it, and we will be sure to get back from you. Like I said, very excited today. We have a great program. Tanya, who leads us through all of these, is going to lead the fireside chat, is the format we're going to have today. But very excited to have Andy Kittleson in from Rockwell to talk about the program that they have going at Rockwell and some of the successes they've had, and just talk about the program in general. So super excited. You don't want to miss. You don't want to miss this. I will set this up a little bit in that, we just as an intro into the session. We believe that you can solve the phishing problem at Cofence, and we do it. We believe it's best done through a phishing detection and response platform. You can see kind of the visual of that on the screen, but it involves this combination of effective simulation training and the ability to report on suspected phish, and then using some automated technologies with triage and vision that can help you to identify phish, group them, cluster them, and then automatically get them out of your environment to stop any sort of attack. And then, of course, take all of that intelligence and use it in some of your broader systems you may have, like SIM, source, tips, whatever, as you're collecting the overall view of risk in your environment. But this platform, we believe it is the way that you can stop phishing attacks. And so we're excited about it. We've made a lot of investment in these products and these technologies, and I think it can really help you to stop attacks. But with that, let me turn it over to what you guys really came here for, which wasn't the Cofence pitch at the beginning here. It was to hear Tanya and Andy talk about phishing and the programs at Rockwell. So with that, Tanya, I will turn it to you.
Thanks, Michael. So I just want to, as we've been talking about every single week with this series, talking about, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. In case you haven't heard yet, by now, hopefully in week 4, you've heard a lot about Cybersecurity Awareness Month from your organization, even just in, even from maybe some of the people that you do business with. We have a lot of consumers that consumer brands that participate in, making their customers aware of what Cybersecurity Awareness Month is. So Cybersecurity Awareness Month was started in 2004 with a joint venture between National Cybersecurity Alliance and CISA to be able to, make everyone more aware of their behaviors and just, their safety, cybersecurity safety online. And this is a great partnership that we have with the NCSA, National Cybersecurity Alliance, and industry and government to be able to help, build this across both aspects of enterprise and consumer at home. So last year we started this "Do Your Part, Be Cyber Smart." That's our tagline. If you want to find out anything about things that have been talked about this month, just look for that hashtag #BeCybersmart, and you will find a plethora of information. And what we do every year as a board, we work with NCSA to establish what are the themes that we want to talk about each of the weeks. And so week 1, we had Be Cybersmart, really was focused on password, credential management. Week 2 was our favorite, phishing, fight the phish, report, don't hesitate to report that message. Week 3 was about careers, with the gap that we have in the cybersecurity workforce profession. We really want to promote, what it takes to be able to have a job or migrate into a job that is related to cybersecurity or InfoSec, within organizations. So lots of content that you can find there. But then this week is Cybersecurity First. And so I'll get into some things at the end where, really what that is about this week. But right now we're going to talk to Andy, and I'm really excited to have you here, Andy. I know a couple of weeks ago when I helped do your event, I was really jazzed about your whole program. And so maybe you can kind of just introduce kind of what your role is, and then tell us about what you're doing this month, because it was very exciting to hear about.
Oh, thanks for that, Tanya. Yeah, my name is Andy Kittleson. I'm the Global Security Training and Communications Manager at Rockwell Automation. And we're about 26,000 globally, third party. We train them all. And yeah, we were so excited to have you guys there a few weeks ago talk about Fight the Phish. And some other things that we're doing for Cybersecurity Awareness Month is really around the theme of don't stop believing. You know, we're so lucky to have an internal band called Rockwell. And I partnered with them this year, and they did a cover of Journey's song, Don't Stop Believing. And my slogan was, you know, there's a lot of FUD out there, but don't stop believing. We'll give you the tools that you need to be more cyber safe. So some of the fun things in addition to Fight the Phish with our partnership with you, additionally, we did a risky business, and you know, we did a tongue-in-cheek, like, no, we don't have Tom Cruise, but even better, we have the Insider Risk Manager, we have our Ombud, and they talked about the programs in-house. And then we also did an alert system that went out to folks' smart devices. And that whole message was about being proactive. And, you know, you might think, well, why did you decide to do all of those things? You know, I think that our messaging along with CoFence is people aren't the problem. They are the solution. But, you know, we eat, sleep, and breathe security all day, every day. I'm sure you can tell how passionate I am. I absolutely love it. But not everyone does. And so it's our job to patch the human element. I'm a firm believer in that. We have all these patching for our tools, but we need to patch the human element. And by doing that, it has to be easy, and they have to want to do it. So you make it relatable. I guarantee that everyone listening now, in your mind, you play Don't Stop Believing. And every time you hear that song now, you're going to think of Andy Kittleson at Rockwell Automation.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that, that you can adapt those things. Yeah, I was always looking for ways that you can make it easy to, for the user, right? Making it easy for people to understand, like, here's what I need to do. One of the things that I had done at an organization was, if somebody clicked on a link or navigated to a website that was unclassified, right? So the web proxy vendor hadn't, you know, determined what classification. Is it shopping? Is it, you know, business related? We would put up this banner page that would say, you know, at first it had just had the policy around, are you sure you need to go to this, blah, blah, blah. And so we just saw people clicking through that. So I changed that whole banner page to have some actual awareness information, right? So if you can insert things into their path, it really does make a difference on changing their behavior, and it's just finding those little nuances of where can we insert something that can help, you know, nudge them the way that they need to go. So, so October, obviously we get the big stage of being able to talk about our programs, but obviously it goes beyond October. So what are some of the other things that you do throughout the year when it comes to just your overall awareness program?
Yeah, so we have a biweekly newsletter, and it's not proprietary. So we encourage our employees to be the CISO at home. And they take that newsletter, they share it with friends and family. It keeps that conversation going. And I tell you, anytime I can get an employee talking about cyber security at home at the dinner table with family and friends, they're slowly changing that behavior, and they're going to bring that positive behavior into the workplace. They're going to be more interested. And if I'm giving them the tools to be more personally cyber safe, they'll be more aware in the workplace as well. So it's a real win-win with the cyber newsletter. We often do monthly videos. One thing that really hit really popular within Rockwell was 1 Minute Wednesdays. So every Wednesday we did, and it was a hashtag 1 Minute Wednesday. You could find the video out on Yammer, and it would be something that was going on, and it was very natural and organic. Maybe it was our CISO or someone from the Insider Risk team or me, and it was just a matter of sitting in your office and filming yourself on your iPhone about a current topic. Who doesn't have 6 seconds? So those were very popular within Rockwell.
Nice. Yeah. So have you found that, I know for me, a good indicator that your program is successful was, you know, you do a lot of pushing and trying to get out there and make it visible. But then when you start having people come to you and ask for, then it becomes a pull. That's when you kind of get a little warm and fuzzy and go, oh, they recognize our program. So have you started to see like, groups reaching out to you saying, hey, can you come do something, or can you help us with, this aspect maybe that we're trying to make more secure, or we want to do better? How can we do better from each of the businesses or departments?
Yeah, you talk about warm fuzzies. Let me just say, anytime I see out on Yammer someone initiating their own conversation, or during a department meeting, and I hear or see, when in doubt, click the trout, I mean, I'm done. I am done. I've done my job. The slogan it just rolls off the tongue, and it's so easy. People see the trout, they know what to do. It's easy, it's repeatable. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we hear a number of our customers using that slogan now. So I don't know, Michael, we might need to rename Flounder to the Trout, but but he does get a lot of recognition, and that's one of the things that we want to start doing is really, we have lots of these stickers. Like when we have these stickers at a conference, they fly off the shelf because it is the most recognizable thing about your program. So let's just spend a minute then just talking specifically about your phishing awareness program. So maybe, talk about, how long have you been running it? How frequent do you do? Have you made adjustments to, maybe when you first started to where you're at now as you advance your program?
Yeah, great questions. I've been doing it for a little over 4 years at Rockwell specifically. And, I challenge anyone that thinks, oh, my program's good and I can coast, to pause, halt, regroup, because if there's one thing that I've learned, you're never able to coast. There's always changes and evolution. And one thing that I'm definitely revamping going into this next year is focusing on the new hire. That is a whole culture that I haven't really touched deep, and it's a huge miss because, there's a lot of social media posts of, hey, I just started a job at Rockwell Automation, now you become a target. Also, sometimes people make errors internally, and it's not on purpose, it's just because they didn't know. So that's, me not doing my job, communicating what to do, what not to do, and who to contact when you need help. So one thing that I'm really revamping with our phishing program is a whole new approach with new hires. So upon their first 14 days of hire, I'm taking advantage of the awareness email that Cofense has, and I'm going to push that out. In that awareness newsletter, it says, hey, we have a report a phish button. This is what it looks like. Here's where to find it. Here's the difference between something that's suspicious and spam. So I always include that to help out my SOC. And then 2 weeks after that receipt, I'm going to send them a simulated phish. And all of the new hires will get the exact same simulated phish. So I'm comparing apples to apples. And then it will really show me, one, did the awareness work? And did they report? Because I want that report button behavior to be started from day one. And, we always tell folks it's so important that you report, because we have an awesome load of shiny new tools behind the scenes. But, Tanya, if you and I get the same phish and you report it and I click on it, I gave Rockwell's shiny tools the time between you reported and the time that I clicked it. That's all the time that I gave those tools to work. So it's really important that we get folks in the habit of reporting things that are suspicious.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so critical. And it's one of the gaps that I see that happens oftentimes when somebody's starting up a new program, right? They just want to do the simulation without the whole reporter. And that's one of the things back when I was a customer. I've been a customer of Cofense Phish Me since 2011. And it's one of the things that really enlightened me about why I really believed in Cofense, because they saw there was more to just simulating that, right? It's like, okay, now we've taught them how to identify. Now what do you do with it? Like, there's so much value in that phish itself, right? And what the security teams can do. So I'm curious, have you showcased your team a little bit to the internal, to say, hey, here's what happens behind the scenes when you report that phish, it kind of reinforces that why, right? Because then they're like, okay, now I see somebody's actually looking at that thing that I send.
Yeah, we actually did a live scenario with our SOC where they demonstrated this is what happens if you click on a malicious link and what it looks like in the background and how it can infiltrate or how they can remove it from everyone's inboxes. And so it really hit home on a personal level, like, wow, I have that much power just by clicking on a link.
Yeah.
And showing them that the behavior needed is to click the report a phish button and making it easy for them. It's on their reporter for mobile. It's an OWA. I mean, we put it everywhere. We've made your job really easy. Find that trick.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's so critical. Okay, so, and also I was going to say, it's funny that you say you added new hires, right? Because when you're starting your program, you're just trying to get the whole organization, engaged and trying to figure this whole thing out and, build some maturity to it. And it's something that we always say, as you advance your program, then add in your new hire process. It's something that even when I was running my programs, I was take a step back and go, okay, I see that where my click rate is the highest, it's in people that had recently joined. And so, yeah, I did the same thing. Everybody that was hired in May, April, or June 1st, they were in that first, week's simulation just for them. And then you can kind of, like you said, track them along and then integrate them into the full population. I actually had somebody come back and say, it's not fair that you sent me this thing. I just started. And so I looked up and I'm like, yeah, no, you've actually been trained and you actually had a simulation. So nice try. But then also it comes down to that when you're picking your simulations, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because I know one of the things that I always tried to making sure I'm aligning it to what is currently being seen in our environment. Because then when you have those that to back you up, then when you have those people who feel offended, it's much easier to say, well, we did this one because we actually saw this one, right? And then they kind of back down and they're like, okay, I get it. So just curious on, what is your process for picking out your template for the week or the month or however often you do that?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm a firm believer that nobody wants to come to work and get yelled at. So we do not have a punitive program in the phishing and awareness for Rockwell Automation. We are going to be forming a repeat clicker program, but it won't be punitive. And the way that, you're always going to have someone who's a little miffed, when they get you clicked on a fish. We really push the message that I always consult with our SOC and then our partners within Cofense to say, hey, what are you guys seeing? What are we seeing? What's on the horizon? What's been live? And mirror the real things that are occurring. And I always encourage people, hey, if you fell for a simulated fish, you'd much rather fall for a simulated fish than the real one and put us in headlines. So take this as a cautionary of, ooh, I need to slow down a little bit and learn from that. And I think that's really received quite well internally. The fact that I'm not trying to just outright try to trick you. It's not a game. I'm not trying to make your life harder. I'm in turn showing you what's really out there. This is really real things that are out there.
Yeah, it's so critical to an awareness program. So how frequently then do you run your simulations then for your full population?
So we've just bumped it up to monthly. So starting this fiscal year, we're going to be going monthly, all employee. And then we do the new hires on a rotation. And then I do targeted quarterly. Whenever I am invited to, this is a great suggestion, it's worked really well for me. Whenever I'm invited to give a presentation to another business unit or function within Rockwell, I'll get that list of users and I'll send them a simulated fish that might be pertinent to their area, like HR. It would be a specific HR fish that we're seeing in that department. And that's a great opportunity to come in, talk about your program, and then say, well, you guys want to know how you did? And then you rave about the fastest reporters. We really promote that heavily, and I love that Cofense has that tool to give us, to send out the recognition for the fastest reporters. We really, really utilize that, and people like that. Good news travels faster than bad news.
That's right.
Like that.
Yeah. So then do you have some, like I know this month you have some kind of prizes and stuff that you give out. Do you do that throughout the year too? Or is it just during your October event where you kind of give out some rewards?
Usually just in October, but something I'm going to try new that I'm partnering with my co-feds partner is an ice fishing rally. I can't believe that is just a topic that has not been touched. I've never seen anybody do anything with ice fishing. And coming from Wisconsin in the Midwest, we're going to hit ice fishing, and we plan to do it big in January, and then we'll do prizes then too.
So you mentioned globally. Does that resonate then with the rest of the people around the globe then, as you deal with different cultures in your environment?
Yeah, that's interesting. We do a lot in Poland. A lot of our plants are in Poland, so they're definitely acclimated to winter. Other parts of the world, not so much. They maybe have never even seen snow, but they're still invited to live vicariously through us snow bunnies up here in the Midwest, Canada, wherever it gets a little frigid.
Nice. Okay, so as we kind of wrap up here, because we had week 3 as career week, just kind of close us out with maybe how you made your journey into the awareness piece of cybersecurity or InfoSec in your environment.
Yeah, so this has been an interesting journey. I'm definitely not traditional. So I'm really grateful that you guys offer up like the career webinars that you are this month, because if anyone out there has ever thought, hey, I'm interested in cybersecurity, or would I be good in cybersecurity, check those webinars out, because my undergrad is in hospitality, restaurant, and tourism management. It's where I learned all of my marketing expertise working with Miller Brewing Company, so that worked out well. I'm able to really polish our campaigns internally with those skills. But then my master's is in career and technical adult education, which, really helps me take the security content and get it into curriculum that anyone can absorb, retain, and repeat. The read, write learners, the auditory learners, the kinesthetic learners. I always try to balance my campaigns and utilize all of the different learning styles so that I can reach a wide variety of folks. And I think that based on my background, it's really set me up for success in this career. Cyber never sleeps, so it's everyday learning and challenging yourself to learn new things. So
yeah, there's always something, and that marketing background absolutely plays a big part, because how I got started in awareness in 2011 was because I kept telling the director who owned the role that you're doing this all wrong. It's not about compliance. You got to market to the employees. And so that's why he's like, okay, fine, come show us how to do this then. And so for me, it was, okay, now I got to figure out how I'm supposed to communicate to people. But it really is about marketing to them and making it engaging. So I love what you've done with your program. So thanks again for joining us today. I'm going to transition now to this week's theme, which is Cybersecurity First. And so when CISA and NCSA came up with, what are the themes for this week, really this particular week is about making sure that you're, enhancing, if you don't have a security awareness program, maybe, start building it. And then, as we talked about, training your employees during onboarding, that's a great way to embed that, first impressions of the organization. Reach out to your HR teams and find ways that you can, get engaged with your onboarding process. And then when it comes to, even as Andy and I were talking about, reaching out to those departments to figure out, how can your InfoSec teams, how can you help them, partner with them on, are they adding new applications? Are they updating their processes where they want to build security behaviors into that, so you can kind of correct those things where sometimes when you, even I know when I've talked to others about running their phishing program, when they're really trying to analyze, why are you always clicking on this message? It came down to, well, I have to because this is my business process, right? And so if you can find ways that you can work with your business to, maybe change the way that that process happens to be able to encourage the right behavior, or not make the employee feel like they're stuck, like I have to do it this way, even though I know this is not wrong, right? And they might not know how to speak up and kind of raise their hand about this. Even with the latest executive order that came out in May of this year after the SolarWinds and some of the major breaches that we've had, and we see that software security, the software, secure software development lifecycle is being encouraged to really start embedding security up front, right? Look at the OWASP top 10. That's a great place to start for building security into your products. And then when it comes to at home, what are some of the things that you can do? Even as Andy said, right, giving your employees stuff that they can take home with them. I know when I had revamped the newsletter that I had when I first took over that awareness role, it had multiple topics in there, and I trimmed it down to just, nope, we're going to do one topic because it's too busy. And what is the one thing that we want people to understand? I got a little bit of pushback because the people that originally developed that thing were really annoyed that I took out all these sections and just made it one. But then at the bottom, I always included an at home, because that main theme that I was covering that week or that month was something that was specific to the organization. So it wasn't something that could just like, oh, I'm going to take this home. I'm like, Andy is able to do that. But for those topics that I needed to cover for here's how you do things in the organization, I found that the NCSA Stay Safe Online resources, there are a great number of related topics in there. So if you're talking about passwords, find an infographic or something on the Stay Safe Online website that you can insert for that at-home section at the bottom, or right-hand panel or something in your newsletter to give them that piece that, oh, here's how I can do this in my own life, with my friends and family, to be able to just give them that thing. And, many times I had people coming back asking, hey, can I share this with my friends and family? And so, when it's that external public link, it's easy to just say, yeah, here's something that you can do at home, or even just dedicate, a couple of weeks or a month or something that you want to, especially now that we've all gone to this remote work, it becomes even more critical that we're doing this at home, cyber security tips that they should also be carrying, into their home life as well. And then just even giving them tips on, when you're downloading applications, making sure that you're keeping your devices up to date and current, and then how they're managing their credentials, which I'm going to get into in a moment. So just some really quick high level things that you can do. I've done, like as Andy mentioned, doing a lot of speaking events for our customers, but one of the funnest ones that I got to do was with one of our customers that does a STEM outreach every month, and they asked me to come talk to 6 to 12-year-olds. And so I will never hesitate to be able to talk to anybody at any age group, and really just being able to engage with them. And it was an interactive session, so that made it fun as well. And like Andy, when we're in awareness, we're all passionate about these topics. And so many of us, right, will be in a public setting where it's just a quick conversation with somebody, and then it's like, oh, you do cybersecurity, and then they have a question for you, or it doesn't take long for it to journey into phishing or passwords or how you should protect yourself. Just left breakfast and had that same conversation. So there's always ways to incorporate cybersecurity first, no matter whether you're at home and work. And so if you haven't had a chance to go to our awareness resources that we have on the Cofense website, we do have resources on there for you. So if you haven't started a program, there's lots to get started with you. We have some CBTs that are free that we offer to anyone. They're the basics to get you started. Stay Safe Online has a number of resources as well. But in that resources packet, there is a slide deck in there so that you can talk to your teams, your organizations about phishing. And I always include these 2 slides in there that are what can you do at home. And so I always provide, even when I do my customer presentations like I did for Andy and their group, I always give these at-home pieces, right, of what they can do to protect themselves. And a blog that I recently wrote for Stay Safe Online, not only is it important to report phishing, but report that text message and forwarding it to 7726, because as I keep telling everyone, just like we give our security teams our phishing emails, we want to make it really noisy for these mobile providers to be able to do something about this issue that seems to ebb and flow seems to have spiked a lot recently. So I'm going to hand it back over to Michael now to close us out. And thanks again for attending the series that we've had. It's been great having something every week that we can talk through.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya, and Andy as well. What a fantastic way to wrap up the series, right? This is super great content today. In fact, I wrote this down so that I can at some point use it, Andy. I loved a couple things you said. So when in doubt, click the trout. Awesome, right? Everything that rhymes always is good, is easy to remember. Maybe even more so than don't stop believing, but I don't know, maybe both will get stuck in my head. Ice fishing, again, wonderful, brilliant. Love that you're taking the play, especially for the Midwest or other parts of the world, I guess, where it's cold. And cyber never sleeps. There you go. I mean, those three things, you hit it out of the park. So thank you for joining us. You all can see on the screen, there are more resources. Cybersecurity Awareness Month is October, but people, you're doing awareness all year, and so the resources can be used all year. But you can see on our site, copens.com/awareness-resources, you can get a whole package of information. And both Tanya and Andy were nice enough to say that if you did have questions that you wanted to go to them directly on, right? So you were able to send the Q&A. Thank you all for that. But if you had questions you want to go directly to them, their emails are right there, and they're more than happy to talk with you or email with you or whatever. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Tanya, again, thank you. Andy, a huge thanks to you. And we look forward to seeing everyone in the next one. Thank you again.
Thank you.